I cannot wait to be playing on stage and have thousands of people in front of me saying, I don't fucking like you. The irony, it's just going to be so good. I don't know if it's going to hurt my feelings or if I'm going to be stoked that they're singing along.
Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Rock Sound with another of our video calls. We are catching up with everybody while we're stuck at home, and I'm delighted to say from Asking Alexandria Ben's on the line. How are you, man?
I am fantastic, mate. How are you doing?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Cannot complain. Yeah, it looks like, a lovely surrounding we've got in. I'm liking all the discs in the background and stuff. This is a very nice setup. Where are we finding you today?
I'm in my guest bedroom slash studio, I guess. So whenever we have guests come over, they get to look at my glory behind me, all these glorious discs, and go, man, I'm staying in a really cool person's house.
It's what you always want with guests. You want them to say that before they leave. It's very,
you don't
very
want to be too arrogant. You don't want people to walk into your home and they're like plastered up the stair wall and they're in your living room, but you want them to go to bed and the last thing they think is, Ben's cool. And then they wake up and they think, oh, Ben's cool. But it's not arrogant because they're hidden.
Exactly. It's a great system. I think you've absolutely nailed the way to do it. How is your kind of lockdown going at the minute, man? We've kind of been checking with everyone. I hope everyone's kind of safe and healthy where you are. How's it all been going for you so far?
It's been going really, really good. The kids are getting a bit bored, but honestly, I think back in February, we did a thing called Shiprocked, which we went and played on a cruise ship with like Hailstorm and a bunch of bands, and it was kind of fun. But I got really sick on the cruise, and I came home and my chest was tight and I couldn't breathe. And then my kids got really ill and they got temperatures like of 102.6 Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius anymore. I've been here too long. But 103 is like hospitalized. So, and then my wife got super sick. So we got really ill. And then like about 2 weeks ago, it came out in the news that the cruise ship that I was on had an outbreak of the coronavirus, and the captain and the staff knew about it and didn't say anything to anyone. So I think me and my family might have already had the coronavirus. I could be wrong. We never went to the hospital because they kind of just say if it's not detrimental and you can get on with your life kind of thing, don't come to the hospital and take up a test. So we stayed home and we're fine now. This was back in February, March time. So, but yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah, I'm glad you're okay now, man. At least it sounds like you're over the worst of it, at least. So that's positive to hear. I'm glad you're kind of keeping well
I didn't
now.
care about me particularly, but my kids, like seeing them get those huge temperatures and stuff. I was really quite nervous then. And there was one night where I said to my wife, I was like, okay, I think I need to go to hospital. I can't breathe. This is petrifying. And then being a typical male, I went, forget about it. If I feel this way tomorrow, I'll go in. And she's like, well, what if you die in your sleep? Well, I won't know about it.
It's definitely one way of looking at it. That's very true. But hey, worked out in the end. We're here now. We're talking. It's all good. It's all good.
Exactly.
Let's dive into some music then, man, because the album is imminent. This is very, very exciting. And I want to start, I guess, in the obvious place, which is with the title, which is where I start a lot of these things. Like a House on Fire, obviously, you know, there's a track on the album, which I presume the lyrics kind of taken from there, but also just quite evocative. You know, you guys are in a very good place. It seems like, particularly from the last couple of albums, you've been growing together and growing as a band and seem really, really comfortable. I take it this is kind of a reflection of that.
It is that the title is really cool. It's one of my favorite titles we've come up with because it has just layers to it. And obviously, with Danny's return on the last record, there was a big learning curve. Like we were learning each other again. We were sort of seeing if the spark was still there. There was a lot of questions looming and a lot of uncertainty still. We had a great time making the record, but it was very like up in the air still. Whereas with this one, we've slotted back in place. We're close again. We know everything that's going on. So this record, when we were making it, honestly, we've not had this much fun making an album together since Stand Up and Scream. And so, and that goes with the whole band. We're so excited and we had such a good time. And this is the first record we've ever done clean from drugs. We weren't on drugs, well, we're still not on drugs. We're done with that stuff, but we didn't. This is the first record we wrote not under the influence of cocaine and all kinds of horrible substances that we used to put in our bodies. And so you know, the old saying goes, getting along like a house on fire. That really stands true for this record. So that definitely is one element of it. And then the other one is we were sort of like looking back over our career, which had huge highs and huge lows, and we've been all over the place. And I feel like over the years, Asking Alexandria has burnt down what it's built over the years and sort of rebuilt on the same foundations. And this was kind of no exception. It was the 5 original members back, almost right back to square one, right back at the beginning, having fun again, but a new us with a new lease on life and a new respect for each other and music and everything else. So again, it was kind of like a phoenix rising from the ashes. We burnt something down to create something bigger, better, stronger, more exciting. So yeah, this is it's a cool title. I love this title.
Yeah, for sure. And that's so reflective of, like I say, the place you guys seem to find yourself in. That's really nice to hear how positive things are and everything in camp at the minute. And because you can see it, you can see, particularly, I guess, on the last record as well, but then particularly now moving forward, you guys are all so pumped up for it. You do seem like this record in particular, you guys are super happy with how it's come out. And I guess that sounds like it's because you were so comfortable in the studio this time.
Yeah, and I guess we were a mess. I mean, you know, we've been a mess for a long time between drugs and alcohol. We weren't even really there. We were kind of just vessels. Our bodies were vessels, and we were just coasting through, just not even realizing what our surroundings were or who we were surrounding ourselves with. So now, being level-headed and clear-minded, it was such a different experience, and we got to fall in love with music all over again. We weren't just doing it because, okay, it's time to make a record, let's go. And I think you can hear that in not only the music, but the lyrics and everything. The message on this album is so much more positive and uplifting than any of our previous ones. And we had glimpses of that in our last records, you know, like Rum Free is super positive and Someone Somewhere is positive. So it was always like there. We were always driving towards it, but everything was just clouded by the shit show that was our lives, you know. And I think this time, it's the opposite. This record's very reflective. Like we discuss those times, but we're kind of talking about those times in past tense because we're not in there anymore. We're not in that headspace, and we get to talk about it and talk about coming out the other side. So it was a really cool experience making this record for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's so good to hear you talking that way, man. It really is. It's nice to see you guys in such a positive place. And again, it's funny how we did a thing online with Danny a while back, and he was talking about the new record. There's a great quote I wanted to put to you. He said, you guys have created the album we've been trying to make our entire career. It sounds like you'd agree with that statement.
100%. And the funny thing is, we look back at, like, From Death to Destiny, like, Asking Alexandria has always been fueled by rock and roll. Like, and there's definitely more of a rock edge to Asking Alexandria than when people call us a metalcore band. That never sat right with us because, yeah, we've got metalcore influences across songs, but broadly, we've been hugely influenced by rock. And when we went in to do From Death to Destiny, it was like, okay, this is our moment. We're going to do it. And then it just went to shit. Like, I didn't even stay the entire process because Danny was busy overdosing in a hotel over there and not turning up. And I was just fucked up on drugs. And, like, I was more interested in scoring than I was finishing the record. And so what was supposed to be this tremendous album, and don't get me wrong, it came out great. I'm super proud of it. But again, just very dark and sad, especially maybe not for the listener, but for us to go through it. So it never really did what we wanted it to do. And now this record, I say it to everyone, I'm like, I feel like this is the From Death to Destiny we wanted to create, but just weren't mentally able to at the time. So I'm excited. There's a lot of big rock riffs on this record, huge soaring choruses, and less doom and gloom, I guess.
Yeah, I guess a part of that must have come from the fact that not only are you reflected on yourselves as people and how you've kind of grown in that way, but like you say, probably looking back to the early days of the band and you guys all being there together again, it sort of feels like, I guess, even in the bits we've heard so far, they're out there in the world, there's different elements of the band from different eras, but definitely feels like you're hearkening back to what set you guys on fire in those early days.
There definitely is. Everyone that I've been talking to and doing press with has picked up on that, which is really cool. And it's because we do look back at what we did. Like when we did Stand Up and Scream, we were so young and we had no real experience writing songs. So it was kind of like we took all these different influences and just threw them at the wall, and they stuck, and somehow it was lightning in a bottle, and it took off, and it was great, and I'm super proud of the record. But now it's like we still have all these same influences, but we've just figured out how to, I think, present them more cohesively. Like it's so funny because people used to refer to us as a metalcore band, but I would always in all press be like, if you listen to the record, there's so much blues influence in it, there's so much rock and roll influence in it, and it's really not hard to see. But we were just given this label, and so people just, you know, that's what they assumed of us. And it's like, well, all that influence is still here. We haven't really changed all that much. The only difference is we don't rely on what quote unquote open breakdowns, which we used to do when we couldn't figure out how to get from one part of the song to the other. It was like, okay, we'll put a breakdown in, and now we just don't rely on that. That's really the only difference. We've just grown as songwriters, you know?
Yeah, of course, as you of course would do. And then again, as we keep saying, being in that comfortable state will definitely influence that. I wanted to pick you up on a quote as well that came out when, I think it was when Antisocialist dropped. Yeah, no, it must have been. When Antisocialist dropped, there was a great quote from you where you were saying, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but a song for the frustrated, the forgotten, the underappreciated, and the downtrodden. Autobiographical a little bit there. I mean, are we talking about the band and that journey more and more on this record? It certainly feels like there's going to be more personal themes than ever before.
It definitely is a reflection of what we've always been the fucking underdog, man. Like everyone's always like, oh, Asking Alexandria, flash in the pan. And it's like, well, fast forward 12 years and that fucking flash in the pan is still flashing, dude. But whenever we were put on like we were put on American rock festivals, radio rock festivals before most scene bands were, you know. It was very easy in the States in particular to get labeled as a Warped Tour band, and so you wouldn't get opportunities. So we used to go for these opportunities. People were like, it's never going to work, and then we would do it, and they were like, okay, well, it won't work again, and then we'll do it again. And so, you know, it was just like, it's been a constant thing our entire career, and we're always told, well, you got to prove yourself. And it's like, we keep proving ourselves, you know. It's like even the UK, when we want to come back and tour the UK, it's like, okay, let's upgrade these venues. Let's get more people in the room. We're super excited. And then everyone's like, oh, I don't know. You got to prove yourself. I'm like, how many fucking times do I have to sell out the Academy ones before we can take another step and try and get more people in the room? I want to play for more people, you know? And it's like, yeah, well, you got to prove yourself again. So I just feel like it's a constant cycle with us. And I think it's a constant cycle with a lot of people. A lot of people find themselves in a position that they didn't think they would be in life. And maybe they're being held back at school or at work or at home because people just don't give people a chance, you know. And I think it's bullshit and it's frustrating, but a lot of people don't speak out because it's just too much of a headache. You know, you can't walk into work and go, fuck you to your boss because you'll lose your job. But people want to. I guarantee they go to work and they're like, oh yeah, hi, fuck you, you know, but they can't say it. So it's like, well, we're going to say it for you. And that's the whole point in that song. It doesn't have to be super deep. It's just, it is what it is, you know. And I think one of my favorite lines Danny's ever written, which I think is going over a lot of people's heads, is the it's on my forehead, 4 letters off, go forth and spread the word. And it's like, we all wish we could write fuck off on our forehead so we don't have to say it, but you can see it. Even if I'm smiling at you, it says it right here, you know what I mean? So I love that song. It's just a fun song, and it's like everyone feels that way at some point, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly. Everyone kind of just wants to go, I'm over it. So we said it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that's going to pop up live as well because you know, that's such, like you say, it's a universal sentiment and it's a big tune. That's going to go off big.
I'm super excited to play that song live because I cannot wait to be playing on stage and have thousands of people in front of me saying, I don't fucking like you. The irony, it's just going to be so good. I don't know if it's going to hurt my feelings or if I'm going to be stoked that they're singing along, but I'm excited.
Yeah, that's very exciting. That's going to be a moment right there. And speaking of talking, you know, like you say, you know, the live plans for everybody are so up in the air at the minute. It's inevitable. It's all very understandable, I think, as well. You know, fans are all remembering these aren't cancellations, they're postponements with everybody. It's going to happen at some point. One thing I wanted to pick you up on, though, because I think you were saying it pretty jokingly, but I saw you on Twitter the other week and you said, just kind of offhand, if we can't tour, maybe we get back in the studio again. It was something to that effect. Have you genuinely been thinking about that? Is that how you think you might spend the time moving forward?
We went back in the studio the day after I tweeted that. Everyone was like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, let's do it. And our management's like, the new album's not out yet. What are you doing? I was like, I'm a musician. I'm making music, you know? So we're kind of under the... I'm not sure that touring's going to happen in 2020 at all. And that's not my choice, you know. And I'm not even convinced it's going to happen until way later on in 2021, because I think no one knows what's going to happen, but I think touring is going to be the very, very last thing to come back after restaurants, after everything. So I'm like, well, I don't want to just sit around for a year and a half and do nothing. I kind of want to put another album out, you know. And I think it would be cool to come back to the touring world and have 2 brand new albums out for people. It's a little bit ambitious, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're musicians, you know, and it's I'm not glad that this is happening, but I'm a little bit glad that it's forced everyone to hit the reset button, because I think the whole of the music industry has fallen into this weird schedule almost. It's like, okay, you do an album, then you tour for 2 years, and then you do an album and you tour for 2 years, and it's very regimented and very boring and not very rock and roll at all. It's like, oh, it's very predictable at this point. And so I think it's cool that we've had to all take a step back and let's see what people decide to do with it. I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, maybe we'll do online virtual concerts and stuff like that, which I don't have any interest in doing that. I mean, I'm sure somewhere down the line it's going to have to happen, because that's just the way everything's moving. One of my kids is having a meltdown. But right now I'm not interested in that, because to me the best part of a live show is being surrounded by that energy. So I'm a musician, and I think somewhere along the line we've all forgotten that it's okay to just write music and give people music. That's why we started this in the first place. I was desperate for anyone to listen to a song I'd written, whether it was my mom or 100 people or 100,000 people or 1 million people. And it's like, you forget that. It's like, okay, you do the record, you tour. You do the record, you tour. Well, there's no touring, so I'm going to make more records and make more music. And like, I know labels and management, that's like a weird thing. It's like, well, this isn't how we do it. It's like, well, no, this isn't how we do anything right now.
I think that's it. That's been the really interesting thing with everybody I've been talking to recently, is just people figuring out what they want to do, how they want to do it, and finding ways to adapt. Because like you say, we don't know really when we're going to be able to be going to gigs again. We don't know that. And we're not going to know that for a little while. It's very exciting, though, when I hear people like yourself saying, well, let's actually get back to the making of the music. That's a really exciting notion to me.
That's what people want. That's why you're a musician in the position you're in. You go on tour because people like the music you've put out. So I guess for someone like a label or someone, it's scary because they're pumping out more money with less return, because people aren't going on tour, and probably, you know, record sales, it's yet to be seen what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to go up or go down. They've been going down for years, so I don't see why that would change. And if anything, it's going to get worse, I think, because people have less sort of money to spend at the moment. So that's not my concern. That's a record label's concern. I just want people to hear music, you know. And I think music always got me through the hardest parts of my entire life, whether it was my friends dying or my parents going through a divorce when I was young or whatever it was. Music was always there for me. And I feel like right now, for the first time in my lifetime, and even I think our parents' lifetime, the whole fucking world is going through something really shit. And for me, the best thing to help someone through shit is music. So I want to put out more music.
Man, very exciting. Watch this space. But that sounds really promising, man. I'm excited to hear what you guys come up with. And of course, the new record's coming as well. So let's not forget that. That's very, very exciting too. Before we wrap up, I do want to mention, of course, at the time of recording, Paradise City trailers kind of just dropped this week, which is really, really cool. Obviously taking a concept you'd had before with all the guys, and you've been working on that character before, and now it's been stretched out into a larger series. How was that for you, just as a performer, taking that character and getting more time to play with it, really?
It was so much fun. It was so much more fun than the movie. The movie was the first time I dipped my toes into the acting world, and I'll tell you, I was fucking petrified. Like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it. I woke up every day like, fuck, this is really scary. What if I fuck up my lines? But with the with the season, I tell you what really made it easier was James joined in for the season, and he wasn't there for the movie. So I was like, I'm not the newbie anymore. I was like, just you watch how it's done, James. Don't you worry, mate. And so I had this almost air of arrogance about me, even though I'm still probably just as shit as I was in the movie. But I wasn't going to be the newbie anymore. And I knew everyone from the movie. I was like, this is Mark Boone. He's really cool. Next. And I was like introducing James to people like I'd been there my entire life. But it just kind of made the whole experience a little bit less stressful. I felt more comfortable. The fact that me and Andy and Boo Boo, we'd all done the movie and we're really good friends, made it even easier too. And I think having James there with me made it that much easier too, because he's basically family at this point. So it's like, okay, I go on stage with this guy around the world. I could do this now. And it was a really, really cool experience. I had the best time ever.
Man, it's exciting. It's really cool to see like when that kind of thing happens, where you've made a movie project and then actually being able to stretch out the story and really kind of flesh out this whole world. I guess, you know, you see the fan reaction already. People are really excited to see what happens next.
People are really excited. And I'll tell you what, there are some huge, crazy twists, but we had almost finished filming the season 1. And Ash Avildsen, the producer, called me and was like, I've got an idea. Are you willing to inject this into your character? And I was like, wow, this is a big thing for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. It's acting. This is a really cool opportunity. And it just gave my character Leo a whole new like side to him that wasn't explored in the movie. And it turned his character into a much bigger role within the universe. So we had to go back and do way more filming than we'd originally planned. But it's opened up a lot of doors. And so they're already talking about season 2. And I'm excited because Leo became a much bigger role. Halfway through season 1, you'll notice it's like, oh, there's a lot more of Leo now. And it's because last minute we added this new element to the character. And so it was definitely exciting and definitely something new for me. And I'm really glad that I got to experience it and be part of it.
Yeah, great to see it growing in that way. That's really exciting. Can't wait to see it, man. Very, very exciting. In the meantime, album, really excited for that, man. And just all the best to you and the family, and hope you kind of stay safe in this mad time, and looking forward to seeing you back in the UK when we can get back together in that way.
So far, the tour in the UK hasn't been postponed or anything. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I know the UK in particular is taking this thing very, very seriously. So I'm hopeful, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, we'll see you when we see you anyway. Good to chat to you, man.
Appreciate it, mate. Take care.
All right, nice one. Bye, everybody.